Have you ever noticed that food doesn't seem to sit right the way it used to? Maybe you finish a meal and feel bloated, stiff, or strangely tired, even if you didn't eat very much. Or you find yourself needing more naps than usual, struggling to stay sharp during the day and wondering quietly, is this just aging? Now let me ask something a little more personal. Have you been doing your best to eat healthy, following the rules you were taught decades ago, and still not feeling like yourself? That nagging discomfort in your joints, that foggy feeling in your head, the way your energy seems to drain before noon. You're not imagining it, and you're not alone. Here's the truth most people don't talk about. The foods that worked for us in our 30s and 40s often stop working after 60. Our bodies change. Our digestion slows, our metabolism shifts, and even the way we process sugar, salt, and fat is completely different. And that means some everyday foods, even ones you've eaten your whole life, could now be quietly working against your health. That's what we're going to talk about today. In this video, I'll walk you through 4 of the worst foods for people over 65, the ones that may be adding to your fatigue, brain fog, aches, and weight gain, and I'll show you simple, tasty swaps you can make instead. Because when you change what's on your plate, you can change how you feel. And it doesn't take long to notice the difference. Let's start with one food that hides in plain sight, and it's one that many seniors still believe is good for them: fruit-flavored yogurt. I know it sounds harmless, right? Yogurt with peaches, strawberries, even the ones labeled light or low fat. But here's the catch. Most of these little tubs are packed with added sugar. In fact, some brands have as much sugar as a small can of soda. That's a big problem when you consider that as we age, our bodies become more sensitive to sugar spikes. Even a small serving can cause a rush of blood sugar, followed by that familiar crash, leaving you tired, cranky, or even dizzy. And sugar isn't just about energy. Over time, too much of it can fuel inflammation in the body, which contributes to joint pain, memory problems, and even heart disease. Now, I'm not saying you need to give up yogurt completely, but what you can do is make a simple switch. Go for plain, unsweetened Greek yogurt. It's creamy, full of protein, and has none of that added sugar. Then, if you want it a little sweet, add your own fresh fruit, like blueberries or sliced banana, and maybe just a touch of honey. That way, you're in control of what goes in, and your body will thank you for it. Now let's talk about something that's on a lot of dinner tables, especially when we're tired or don't feel like cooking. Processed meats, things like bacon, sausage, deli ham, and hot dogs. They're quick, tasty, and familiar. But these meats often come with a long list of additives: nitrates, preservatives, and loads of sodium. And that's where the trouble starts. When we're younger, our kidneys and arteries are better at handling that extra salt and those chemicals. But as we age, high sodium can raise blood pressure, strain the heart, and even lead to fluid retention. That swollen ankle feeling you might be familiar with. Not to mention, the nitrates in processed meats have been linked in studies to higher risks of certain cancers and cognitive decline. That's something we definitely don't want hanging around our plates after 65. So, what's the better option? You don't have to give up meat entirely, not at all, but it helps to shift toward cleaner proteins. Think roasted chicken breast, fresh turkey, or even plant-based proteins like lentils and beans a few nights a week. If you're making a sandwich, slice up some grilled chicken instead of deli ham, or swap that breakfast sausage for a veggie scramble with eggs and spinach. It's simple, it's satisfying, and you won't feel like you're missing a thing. Especially when you start noticing how much better your body feels without all that sodium dragging it down. Making changes like these isn't about perfection. It's about listening to what your body is trying to tell you and giving it the kind of nourishment that supports it, not works against it. Every bite you take is either feeding your energy or stealing it. That's empowering when you think about it, isn't it? Now that we've looked at a couple of foods that might be silently sabotaging your health and easy swaps that can truly support your energy and well-being, let's keep going. Because the next one might just be hiding in your morning cup. That next one, it's in your morning cup. Or maybe sitting right next to it on the breakfast table. I'm talking about those little white packets, the sugar-free sweeteners, or the colorful ones we add to coffee, tea, cereal, or even fruit to make it taste better. They promise to help us cut sugar, lose weight, and keep things light. But the truth is, artificial sweeteners might be doing the exact opposite, especially as we age. Here's the thing. Your body may not technically digest these sweeteners the same way it digests real sugar, but that doesn't mean they're harmless. In fact, recent research suggests that artificial sweeteners can confuse your metabolism, mess with your gut bacteria, and even make you crave more sweets later in the day. For seniors, this can lead to a frustrating cycle. You cut back on sugar to be healthy, but then end up hungrier, more tired, and still struggling with weight, digestion, or even blood sugar. And if you've ever had a strange headache after drinking a diet soda or noticed your appetite getting more unpredictable after switching to sugar-free snacks, you're not imagining it. Many older adults are more sensitive to chemical additives than they used to be. These substances weren't part of our diets when we were growing up, and they can hit the system harder now than ever before. So what's the better option? Go back to basics. If you like sweetness in your coffee or oatmeal, try a small amount of real honey or pure maple syrup. Just a little, not because sugar is the enemy, but because too much of anything can be overwhelming for the body after a certain age. You can also lean on naturally sweet ingredients like cinnamon, vanilla, or a dash of unsweetened cocoa to add flavor without the crash. And I know it might take a little time to adjust, especially if you've used artificial sweeteners for years. But here's something beautiful that happens when you move toward natural foods. Your taste buds begin to reset. Within a few weeks, even a handful of berries can taste satisfyingly sweet again. Your body will recognize the difference, and you'll feel it in your mood, your digestion, even your mental clarity. Speaking of digestion, let's talk about something a little heavier. Literally. It's a food that often feels comforting, especially on tired nights or cold days, but it might be one of the sneakiest culprits behind bloating, fatigue, and that sluggish feeling so many people over 65 quietly live with. I'm talking about white bread, white rice, pasta, and all those ultra-refined grains. Now, don't get me wrong, nobody's saying carbs are bad. Carbohydrates give us energy. They're part of almost every culture's comfort food, and they can absolutely be part of a healthy diet. But the kind of carbs we eat matters a lot. White bread, for example, is stripped of fiber and nutrients. It turns into sugar quickly in your bloodstream, spiking your energy and then dropping it just as fast. For someone over 65, that roller coaster can mean crashes in the afternoon, brain fog, and even poor sleep later at night. And here's the thing, when your body doesn't get enough fiber, digestion slows down. Constipation, heaviness, that stuck feeling after eating, often it's not age, it's low fiber. And sadly, most older adults simply aren't getting enough of it. So how do you fix it without giving up the foods you love? Start small. Instead of white rice, try brown rice or quinoa. Instead of regular pasta, try whole grain or lentil-based versions. They're delicious, and they actually keep you full longer. Swap white sandwich bread for whole grain or sprouted grain bread. The kind you can feel has some texture, some weight. You'll not only feel more satisfied, but your blood sugar will stay steadier, and your digestion will move a whole lot more smoothly. The amazing thing is, once you start making these little swaps, the sugary yogurt for real fruit and plain Greek yogurt, the processed meats for simple clean proteins, the chemical sweeteners for natural flavors, the white bread for whole grains, your body starts to respond. It's like giving your cells a breath of fresh air. You wake up a little lighter, your energy lasts longer, and that fog in your head begins to lift. And that's not magic. That's just giving your body what it was meant to run on. Whole, nourishing, gentle foods, not the artificial, overly processed stuff that so many of us were told was healthy back in the day. Now we know better, and knowing better means we get to do better for our hearts, our minds, our joints, and our happiness. It's never too late to feel better. Never. Whether you're 65 or 85, your body is listening every single day, and it's never asking you to be perfect. Just present, just willing to make one better choice at a time. Let's keep going. And speaking of being present, there's one more food we need to talk about, and it's one that often hides in plain sight. It shows up at parties, in gift baskets, even quietly sneaks into your snack drawer at night. Crackers, cookies, pastries, and processed snacks, especially the ones labeled as low-fat or baked, not fried. They may seem harmless or even healthy at first glance, but the truth is these processed snacks are often loaded with what we call trans fats, or heavily refined oils, the kind that quietly inflame your body from the inside out. Now, I get it. Sometimes you just want something crunchy, something to nibble on during a movie or when you're winding down after dinner. And that's completely okay. Food isn't just fuel, it's part of life. But here's the problem. Many packaged snack foods made with cheap oils like soybean, corn, or palm oil don't just sit in your body. They trigger low-grade inflammation, which builds up over time, leading to joint pain, memory problems, or even heart trouble. You might notice it when your knees ache a little more after a salty bag of chips, or when your hands feel stiff after a few days of quick, packaged snacks. That's not just age, that's your body saying, I need a break. And thankfully, giving it that break can be easier than you think. Instead of reaching for processed crackers or diet cookies, try snacking on something with real ingredients. A handful of raw almonds, sliced apple with peanut butter, or even air pop popcorn with a sprinkle of cinnamon. These kinds of snacks still satisfy that crunch, that pleasure, but they do it in a way your body understands and appreciates. And here's the beautiful part. The more you shift toward real food, the less you crave the artificial stuff. Your body starts to feel more stable. You get fewer energy dips, less bloating, better sleep. You start to trust your body again. And that's something a lot of us lose touch with over time. I know it can feel overwhelming when people say, change your diet, like it's just a matter of flipping a switch. You don't have to change everything overnight. You don't even have to give up the foods you love. Just start noticing how they make you feel. That's where it all begins. Awareness, not guilt. Curiosity, not restriction. Try one small change this week. Swap your white toast for whole grain. Add a few extra berries to your morning. Choose water or herbal tea over that diet soda just once. These aren't rules. These are invitations, gentle nudges toward a version of yourself that feels just a little bit better every day. Because here's what I want you to remember. You're not too old to feel amazing. Your body hasn't given up. It's still showing up for you, every breath, every step, every beat of your heart. And when you begin to nourish it with foods that truly support it, the results might surprise you. More energy, clearer thinking, less pain, more joy. And isn't that what we all want as we get older? Not just more years in our life, but more life in our years. So as we wrap up, take a moment and think about what food you've been holding on to out of habit, maybe something from the list we talked about today. Ask yourself, is this helping me feel the way I want to feel? If the answer is no, you don't have to throw it out today. Just get curious. Try one better option. See how you feel. Your journey to better health after 65 doesn't start with a diet plan. It starts with kindness to your body, to your mind, and to the decades of wisdom you carry. You've made it this far, and that's something to celebrate. If you found this video helpful, I'd love for you to share your thoughts in the comments. What food swap are you most excited to try? Or maybe you've already made a change that made a big difference. Share it so others can learn from your journey too. And if you'd like more down-to-earth, real advice for living well after 60, go ahead and like this video and subscribe. We're building a space here where you can feel supported, encouraged, and empowered, no matter your age. You deserve to feel strong, clear-headed, and full of life every single day. So here's to good choices, one small step at a time, and to living your best life at any age. You've got this, and you're never alone on the path.